Welcome back. Today we're doing number 14 in the Fiendish Logic Puzzle book from Puzzle Baron and Stephen P. Ryder. This one's called Street Repairs, and we have 7 different streets that were worked on in 7 different months for 7 different budgets by 7 different managers. Alright, so let's jump right in. The job on Fred Lane begins 2 months before the one on Gray Avenue and 3 months before the job with the lowest budget, which is handled by either Cal Craft or Bill Bonner. Okay, a lot of information right off the bat. So let's start. Okay, so Fred Lane, 3 months before, is not the lowest budget. Neither is Gray Avenue. And this lowest budget can only be Cal Craft or Bill Bonner. Okay, so Fred Lane is let's start with 3 months before the lowest budget job. So if Fred Lane was the first, then the earliest that the lowest budget job, which is $15,000 by the way, could be is July. So April, May, June, July. And if the $15,000 lowest budget project is the last one in October, then the latest that Fred Lane could be is also July. And that's 2 months before Gray Avenue. So Gray Avenue is 1 month before the $15,000 one. Good thing we already crossed it out. Bill Bonner's project, which doesn't start in August, begins 3 months after the one with the budget of $18,000. All right, 3 months after. So similar to what we just did. 3 months after. So if the $18,000 one is the first one, then the earliest that Bill Bonner can be is 3 months later, July. Which is all good, but then August, oh, pardon me, should be here, because if you start in May, then 3 months later would be August. And then if Bill Bonner was the very last one, the latest that the $18,000 one could be is July. For that same reason. Okay. Okay. Oh, and we're about to learn a little more about August. Of the 2 jobs starting in July and August, one will focus on Ivy Street, the other will have a budget of $32,000. Now this is great, we have 2 of the same category. So now we know that Ivy Street can only be July or August. It's a summer project. And the other one, $32,000, can only be July or August. No, that's August, excuse me. Okay. Oh, and Ivy Street cannot have a budget of $32,000. Scratch that out. Okay. Frida Fisher's project, which doesn't start up September, scratch that out, is either Carey Lane or York Court. So let's see. There we go. Frida Fisher, Carey Lane, or York Court, the last 2. All right. Of the job, oh, this is going to be interesting, I can tell. Of the job starting in April and the $15,000 project, one will focus on Ivy Street and the other is headed by Al Anderson. Now, normally we'd start by saying that the April now can't be the earliest, or the $15,000, even though we already know that, and that Ivy Street can't be Al Anderson. But fortunately, we don't have to do our usual waiting and coming back to this clue. We could solve it right away. Ivy Street has to either be July or August. It can't be April, so it must be the $15,000 project. And April must be Al Anderson. Okay, so Al Anderson is our first up, and Ivy Street is 15,000. And that means Ivy Street is either Bill Bonner or Cal Kraft. Very interesting. Okay. Check off. So we know. Okay, now, this is interesting. Gail Garrett's project, the 3 jobs starting in April, June, and September, the $32,000 projects, and the one on Carrie Lane are 6 different projects. Now this is interesting because it gives us 6 distinct projects, but we have 7 projects, so it doesn't give us everything. But it does give us a lot to start off though, so let's see. April, June, September. These can't be Carrie Lane. June, September. Also, this can't be Al Anderson because that's April. You know what? I'll even make a note of that. Al And. Okay. And then Gail Garrett. That was the first one, yes. Can't be April, June, or September. The 32,000. Yes. Oh. Can only be July or August already, so that doesn't help us yet, but it's interesting. And Carrie Lane can't be 32,000. Carrie Lane can't be Gail Grant. And Gail Grant can't be 32,000. I did that backwards. Just scratching off. Okay, we'll come back to this a lot, probably. Oh, and here we are. This is another interesting one where we have 2 in the same category, which we like to see. Of the 2 jobs headed by Frida Fisher and Ed Erickson, one has a budget of $36,000 and the other is Gray Avenue. All right. Well, this, because again, this is the same category. This tells us that the $36,000 one can only be Fred or Ed. Frida or Ed. 36,000. Yes. Ed. How come there's no D name? Okay. Ed or Frida. And the same goes with Gray Avenue. Oh. Actually, again, we got this all in the bag already. Frida Fisher has to be either Carrie Lane or York Court, so it can't be Gray Avenue. That means Frida Fisher is the $36,000 one, and Ed Erickson is our Gray Avenue. That's why you have the grid. And Frida goes here. Very interesting. Do some scratching off. Okay, Ed Erickson, Gray Avenue. Okay. The $20,000 project, which isn't on Gray Avenue, which we now know is Ed Erickson, so I'll scratch that off, begins sometime after the most expensive job. So it's not $40,000 either. Oh wait, I did that wrong. $20,000. Excuse me. So $20,000 has to begin sometime after the most expensive. That just tells us that the $20,000 can't be first and the $40,000 can't be last, because there's nothing before this one, nothing after this one. Just forget my embarrassing mistake. Move on to clue number 9, the $32,000 project, which is one of our clues from clue 6. Oh, is either the one starting in August or Irma Ingram's job, and it will be sometime after the one on Juniper Lane. Now, we don't know anything about Juniper Lane besides the fact that it's before the $32,000 project. Can't be the last one. A lot of information. Let's start here. Okay, 32,000 is August one. Nope, no, look there. The $32,000 project is either August or it's Irma Ingram. So Irma Ingram cannot be there. If it was Irma Ingram, I guess it would have to be July. No, 32,000 is sometime after Juniper Lane. Okay. So the latest, so the 32 has to be before Juniper Lane. Yeah. And the very latest 32 can be as August, so Juniper Lane has to be at the very latest July. Again, after, and then it could be here, and that could be after. Good. All right. The $35,000 project won't be headed up by Gail Garrett or Frida Fisher. We already know what Frida Fisher is heading up. Do we? Yeah, 36,000. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I made a little mistake here. Fred Lane, I checked off 36,000 where it should be here. Excuse me for that. Hopefully you are seeing this video. I haven't just deleted it out of embarrassment. Am I sure about this? The 15,000? Yes. Very good. And okay, and we have there's no indication that Fred Lane is Frida Fisher. Although Al Anderson was April, so who knows? So that was a mistake. Forgive me for that. Hopefully it doesn't. I'm trying to repair all the ripples here. Make sure. Did we know anything about? Oh yeah. Okay. So Fred Lane, Frida Fisher. Okay. Well. Oh, and by the way, 36,000 can't be anything Frida couldn't be. Okay, second mistake. All right, but 35,000 can't be Gail Garrett either, even though we already know Frida Fisher. And Ethel Street is not Irma Ingram. Okay. All right, a little bit of a rocky start, although we did get some really good clues. Now let's loop back to the beginning. Fred Lane, which we don't know if it's if it's 36,000 and run by Frida Fisher, begins 2 months after Gray Avenue, which we do know is Ed Erickson because I'm just double checking my logic here. I hope this didn't come from my mistake, because if it did, I'm just deleting the whole video. You'll never see it. Why did I say Frida Fisher? Yes, because she couldn't be. Yeah, because she couldn't be Gray Avenue. Good. Good. Gray Avenue, which we know is Ed Erickson. And 3 months before the lowest budget job. So I don't think we had any movement there. Okay. Bill Bonner, who doesn't start in August, is 3 months after 18,000. That still looks good. Okay, July and August, one is Ivy Street and the other is 32,000. Ivy Street is also the 15,000. Oh, hey, that's really interesting. We have a number for that, so we have 2 of the same categories. Okay, so July and August is 15,000 and 32,000. And that means No other dollar amount can take up those months. They are taken. July and August are taken. And let's back up a bit. Ivy Street was the $15,000. Yeah. 3 months before the lowest budget job, we now know only 2 could. 3 months before, so 1, 2, 3. Anything else is not allowed. And gray is 2 months before. That's about right. Okay, so Fred Lane is, yeah. And then, good, okay. And we also know this one, oh yeah, you know what? July, we now know, can only be Gray or Ivy Street, and I'll explain why. Gray Avenue is 3 months before, Fred Lane is 3 months before Gray Avenue, and Fred Lane is 2 months before Gray Avenue, and 3 months before the $15,000 one, which we now know is Ivy Street. Therefore, Gray is 1 month before Ivy Street. So, as we've discussed this trick before, it can either be that this is Gray and this is Ivy, or this is Gray and this is Ivy. And that's because, for both of them, there are only 2 slots left. If there was another option, then we'd look into that. But if this was June and this was August, then it wouldn't be 1 month apart. So nothing else can take this slot here. Okay, so we can also look back at our list of months. Okay. Apple Street. Okay, so July has to either be Ivy Street or 32,000. So if Gray is July, it must be 32,000. Is there any reason that we don't think that could be possible? Not yet. Okay, let's work it out. Let's just keep going. We made a lot of progress here. Okay. Frida Fisher is either Carey Lane or York Court. So Frida Fisher can't be July because that's neither of those streets. I think that's all we can add right now. Okay, so we have Gail Garrett. I hope I didn't mistake Gray Avenue for Gail Garrett, like I did with the other thing. Gail Garrett can't be April, June, or September. Can't be 32,000. Can't be Carey Lane. So I'm gonna say, can Carey Lane be August? Well, I guess it could be 15,000. No, that's Ivy Street. So Ivy Street is, Katie Court can't be August because, where was that clue? What was I looking at? That doesn't matter. Oh yeah, Katie Court can't be August or July, but we already knew that, because it has to either be Ivy Street or 32,000, and Katie Court can't be 32,000. What else couldn't be July or August? So Gail Garrett, we don't know that yet. Okay, that's fine. Frida Fisher is 36,000. Ed Erickson is Gray Avenue. Oh, I haven't updated that yet. Let's see. Now I can check it off. The 20,000 begins sometime after the most expensive job. Nothing useful yet. That does make me want to clean this up a little. 36. I'm sure there's plenty more I could do, but for now. The $32,000 project, which is either April or Irma Ingram. 2,000, which also has to be July or August. So if it was July, it would have to be Irma Ingram. And then it would be 32,000. Yes, it's all coming together. I'm kidding, it's not. Who can't manage Ethel Street. Just like the 32,000 has to be sometime after Juniper Lane. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this one again. I like to make a mark, when I have a list like this, I like to make a mark of what is already found. So in this case, it would be Carrie Lane. Have I been saying Katie Lane? I've been thinking of it as Katie Lane. Gail Garrett. Ivy, no, look at the one above it. 32,000. And then the months. April, June, September. Al Anderson is our April. He's found. We've hit our first wall. Okay. Okay. The job on Fred Lane is 2 months before Gray Avenue. We can't do the trick though because they're not connected. And 3 months before Ivy Street. All right, how about this? The Fred Lane is 3 months before Ivy Street / the $15,000 one, and Bill project is 3 months after the $18,000 project. So could it be that Fred is the $18,000 project and Bill is Ivy Street? It would have to be, well, if that were true, he would have to be July, Ivy Street. And then the 32,000 could be August, which would be fine. But we don't know it yet, I guess. Okay. Oh, we the 32,000 is not Juniper Lane, so we can get rid of that. So Juniper Lane is not Carey Court, not the 32,000. She could either be Gail. It could either be Gail Garrett's. It could be April, June, or it could just not be the one that's left out of the count. We don't know enough, but I'd love to identify some more. Let's see. Frida Fisher. Not April. Not September for some reason. Oh yeah. What's up with September? That's pretty narrow. Yeah, September is pretty narrow. It's one of these, obviously. It can't be Carey Lane, so it has to either be Ethel Street or York Court. Six. Can't be August. Oh, that's interesting. So 32,000 can either be the one in August or Irma Ingram. Luckily for us, August is pretty narrow at this point. It's either Cal Craft, Gail Garrett, or Irma Ingram in this case. So that's the 32,000. No. Oh, and already can't be Gail Garrett. So, good. 32,000. Can't be Gail Garrett. Yes. Oh. Indeed. Yeah. So I'm going to X this out. The August. No. Not yet. Okay, yeah, actually. So could Gail Garrett be Ivy Street? No. Okay. Gail Garrett couldn't be Ivy Street because it has to be Calcraft or Bill Bonner. And she obviously can't be Irma Ingram. No. And, well, she can't be Ivy Street. What was I getting at? Lost my train of thought. What was I getting at before? I guess it had something to do with clue number 9. Oh, I was saying that Gail Garrett can't be August because she can't be Ivy Street or have 32,000. And that gives us our August. It's Calcraft. Yeah. Why couldn't she be August again? Because August had to be... Okay. No, August didn't have to be anything besides not Ivy Street, not 32,000, and she couldn't be 32,000 because of this. Okay, good. So that gives us our August is Calcraft. That's not one of the months. So now Calcraft is either 15,000 or 32,000. Good. Alright. What's next? Okay, 32,000 is either Calcraft or Irma Ingram, but I'm guessing I already knew that. Okay, 36 is Frida Fisher. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, 36,000 is Frida Fisher, so it can only be Carrie Lane or York Court, and obviously can't be September. We already got that. Okay, good. Fred Lane can't be 32,000, just as it doesn't line up. Oh, wait. Oh, no. False alarm. False alarm. Let's start from the beginning again. Fred Lane is 2 months before Gray Avenue, 3 months before Ivy Street. And Ivy Street has to be either Bill Bonner or Calcraft. Bill Bonner's project, which doesn't start in August, that would be Calcraft, begins 3 months after the budget of 18,000. Oh, hey, we tightened that up a little, so Bill Bonner is 3 months after 2, 3, that's good. Can't be October. All right. July and August is Ivy Street and 32,000. We also know that August is Calcraft C. And July could be a lot of things, as long as they're Ivy or 32,000. Frida Fisher's project, which isn't in September, is York Court or Kerry Lane. Gail Garrett, April, June, and September, $32,000 project, and Kerry Lane are all different. Gail Garrett can't be 18,000, just doesn't work out. I guess it could be 20,000. About 40,000. Alright, so Gail Garrett is either 20,000 or 40,000. We don't know which one yet. So anything that these two can't be, you could scratch out. So 20 can't be 40. 20 can't be 40. So not July. Interesting. Oh, look. Oh, no, that could be 20. Never mind. Alright, it's July can't be. Okay. The $20,000 job. Speaking of 20 and 40,000, it must be sometime. 20 must be sometime after 440. I don't know why I said 400. Yeah, as long as the very last one here is open, there's not much we can do with that. We do know this can't be on gray. Oh, I guess we don't know that. The 20,000 project, which isn't on gray, which means it isn't on Ed Erickson. Yeah, that we know. Good. The 35,000 isn't Frida Fisher or Gail Garrett. Okay, let's see. Okay, Gray Avenue. Ed Erickson. So the $32,000 project, which is either August or Ingrid Erman, so it's either Cal Craft or Irma Ingram. Yes, correct. Let's see. Oh yeah. So Gray Avenue can't be 32,000 because it has to be either Cal Craft or Irma Ingram, which means that the 32,000. That means Gray Avenue is a month before Ivy. Okay, how about this? Maybe Ray off, but this is why I make the videos, to talk them out. So Gray Avenue can't be 32,000 or 15,000. So it can't be July. That can only be 15,000 or 32,000. Therefore, it has to be June. Fred Lane has to be April. Ivy Street has to be July. And it has to be Bill Bonner. And that means 18,000 has to be April. And yeah, let's work with that for now. And we have our 32,000. That's August. Not Irma Ingram. She's September now. Which means she can't be 32,000. September can't be 32,000. Which means Cal Craft is 32,000. Also, we already found it on the grid. And Cal Craft, we don't know where that is exactly yet. Oh, but let's get rid of that. Put this in. Okay, Fred Lane. Then we have Gray Avenue, Ivy Street, Millcraft was the 32,000. Also means found. Yeah, so we couldn't be Kerry Lane, but we already know that. We have two that could either be York Court or Ethel Street now. So no one else can be those streets. They're taken. And I feel like that might affect Kerry Lane somehow. Nope, not yet. Oh, but we do have our Juniper Lane. That's nice. Lane. And the 32,000 has to be sometime after that, which it is. Kerry Lane is here. October. Okay, so all we have is Ethel Street and York Court. And Ethel Street is not Irma Ingram, so I feel like that's gonna be our deciding. But first we gotta clean up this board a little and look at some more clues. Okay, Ed Erickson is Gray Avenue. 18, no, not 18,000, that's taken. 35,000 or 40,000. So Frida can be Kerry Lane or York Court. Oh, yes, Kerry Lane or York Court. So these months here are knocked out. And she has to be October, and she has to be Kerry Lane. And that has to be 36,000. Okay. Okay. 20,000 has to begin after 40,000. Okay. Interesting. Ethel Street. Okay, Irma Ingram is not Ethel Street. Therefore, and she's September. Therefore, September is York Court, and August is Ethel Street. So we have all our streets. Great. And York Court. And that only leaves one spot for Gail Garrett. Who is not 20,000. So she must be 40,000, must be the most expensive. Okay. Ed Erickson. I don't need to write out the full words, the full names. I mean, they're obviously just going by letters here. A, B, C, E, F, G, I, with a couple exceptions for some reason. September, Irma. All right, and let's take it home. Gray Avenue is Not 18,000. 35,000. Not 20,000. There we go. September. Now whatever's left is 35,000 for Gray Avenue. All right. Now we check the work. We go to the back of the book. Okay. Okay. We want Fred, Juniper, Gray, Ivy, Ethel, York, Carrie. Good. Al, Gail, Ed, Bill, Cal, Irma, Frida. Good. Now 18, 40, 35, 15, 32, 20, 36. We got it. Well, now I take that time to fill out the rest of the board, just to be complete about it, and I'll take this brief moment to thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like the video. I always thought if I was a YouTuber, I wouldn't annoy people by asking them to subscribe and like a million times, but it's gonna take me a hot minute to fill out this board, and I'm just trying to fill the silence. L. Anderson. And that's 18,000. Very good. Erickson is 35,000. There's only one left. Irma. And then Calcraft. And voila! Thank you again for watching.